Welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate podcast with your hosts Joshua Poniatowski and Alex Taylor. Let's talk football.
Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate podcast. My name is Joshua Poniatowski. With me, Alex Taylor.
What up?
So today we are going to be discussing second round picks, how they impact fantasy production for you, and what they look like in the future. But before we jump into that, I got some pictures that I'm going to share with Alex. These are infamous pictures over the years. So if you're listening on the podcast, listen on Spotify, it's on YouTube if you want to jump over to see if you can name these photos. But I'm going to show Alex some of these infamous photos, see if you can name who they are, where they're from, and if he remembers any of that information. It won't be tough. It'll start easy, and then I try to get a little bit more challenging, maybe more dated, but not too tough. You should know most of these, so we'll see. All right, so I'm going to share the first photo now. So what does this photo look like to you?
Oh, well, that's when Barkley backward hurdled over somebody. I don't know if there's I don't know if we've given it a name yet. I don't remember, but yeah.
Nope, that works. Yep. So it was a reverse hurdle, I think they call it. He said he wanted to do a 360 next time, but it was like a 180 reverse hurdle in the Jags game. So this is how this is going to go. So easy as that, all right?
Easy as that. So, all right, I'm going to crush.
Easy.
That is Odell Beckham, his rookie year when he had the infamous catch, and then he, coasted the rest of his career based off of that catch.
Yeah, based off that one catch. Yep. So it was in 2014. It was actually against the Cowboys. And yeah, the OBJ catch. Everybody remembers that. You could probably picture it in your head right now.
It was iconic. On the next one, all right. Yeah, this is the Saints playoff game, and this is the infamous no call on the pass interference. As a member of the NFC South fan club, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you will hear Saints fans talk about that play nonstop. That was the travesty to, anytime someone complains about refs, well, we missed out on going to the Super Bowl because of that no call. And it probably
actually changed the rule to that, right?
It definitely should have been a pass interference. What did you say?
They changed the rule to that for like a year that you could challenge PI calls, and then I think they changed it back. All right, so next pick.
Yeah, David Tyree, Super Bowl catch off the helmet. Come on. These are all iconic.
Yeah, so this happened in 2008, by the way. I just wanted that timestamp's important, so I'm going to show you the next one.
Just to make us feel old, I get it.
Yes.
That was great because it was also like Eli was also scrambling around a lot in that play, and he's not really much of a scrambler. So it was like you thought Eli was going to go down. All of a sudden, he pops out and just chucks it, and David Tyree down there made one of the most iconic catches of all time, especially for some guy who didn't really amount to much else besides that.
Absolutely.
That is James Harrison doing a pick six right before halftime in the Super Bowl. And
how many yards was it?
I think 99. It was like he caught it in the end zone.
100 yards. Yep.
And Fitzy there almost had him. He probably could have caught him at the very last second. One of his own linemen kind of bumped him out of the way a little bit, and then he just barely missed making that tackle. 0 on the clock. All he had to do was get the guy down, but instead he runs all the way for a touchdown.
The crazy thing about that photo is that happened the year after the helmet catch. So, we got 2 back-to-back years of just insane,
wild Super Bowl plays.
Yeah, Super Bowl plays, which is crazy. All right, here's the next one. This one might be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, what do they call that one? That's
pulling
also
it from the memory books.
Also in the Super Bowl, and it was like fourth down. It was either fourth down or the clock was going out. Either way, it was the very last play. I forget what they called, coming up just short. It was a great tackle by that linebacker. And so the Titans just barely miss out on a Super Bowl win by a yard.
1 yard. Yeah. For bonus points, do you know what movie they reference this in? It's a pretty well-known movie with Tom Hanks. He references it. He comes back from wherever he was, and he asks, literally, he's like, so did the Titans ever finish or win the Super Bowl?
Oh, and she's like, trapped on the island or whatever, Castaway?
Yeah.
Castaway. I don't remember that, but just thinking of something where Tom Hanks is gone for a long period of time and doesn't have access to NFL history books.
All right. So the next one is going to be a last one I'm going to show you. This one might be the toughest for you. You might not even know this one, but I thought it was pretty iconic.
Well, that's Joe Namath, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's just hanging out. I don't know the context of it. No,
Yes.
I don't know. Is that like before the Super Bowl or something? He's just like hanging out, of a good time, catching the sun, the tan.
It's exactly what it was. So it was 1969. This is in Miami. He went to the beach 2 days before the Super Bowl. Yeah. And he's just hanging out on the beach a couple days before the Super Bowl, hanging with fans and reporters and just chilling.
He's probably burning some darts too the whole time.
Yeah,
having
sure
some cocktails. Like, come on, he was
absolutely.
Those were the days, man.
And they went out and won. I think it was 16-7 against the Baltimore Colts. Way back when. This is Super Bowl 3. So, all right. Well, those are all the pictures I got for you. I had the Sanchez butt fumble too lined up, but I clicked out of the photo too quick. But I'm sure you would have remembered that one. Yeah. And the crazy part of the butt fumble is that happened on Thanksgiving Day too. I didn't remember that happened on Thanksgiving, but that butt fumble, not something you want to be known for.
Now that's infamous. Yeah, you're talking about an infamous photo.
For sure.
That'll go down in infamy.
Not a great thing. Yeah. All right, but before we jump into the second round picks, I wanted to give you a fun fact and just kind of recap some history over the past 2 years on who went in the second round, because a lot of times we can get hyped on these rookies and we don't take a minute to look back and be like, all right, well, we were in this situation a year ago or 2 years ago. But the fun fact, and I thought this really correlates with our second round, and the reason why we're only doing the second round as far as, draft recaps. But what I did is I went back and I looked at the top 30 wide receivers in half PPR over the last 10 years. So from 2014 to 2024, I looked at each wide receiver and I looked at what their draft capital was. So where they were drafted, whether it was, and specifically I was looking at, was it the third round or later, or were they an unrestricted free agent? Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I looked at those, and of those wide receivers, there was only 16. So there's only 16 wide receivers over the past 10 years that were wide receiver 30 or higher in half PPR formats. And of those 16, only 9 of them have had 2 or more wide receiver 30 finishes in their career.
Yeah, so I'm essentially, 10 seasons, 30. You're looking at like 300 total, basically. 300 seasons worth of receiver play, and you only get 16 that are outside of the first 2 rounds. The first round's been really juicy lately. It's been like everyone's been hitting. There's been a lot of busts lately, but there have been some.
Yeah, and I mean, we think about like Tyreek Hill, Adam Thielen, Puka, ARS, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we're like, man, we wish we would have hit on these guys. But you have a 6% chance, of finding that type of player, historically.
Yeah.
So the reason why I bring this up is because if you're going to take a shot on a guy, take a shot on running back, right? We see the running backs that emerge late round picks, like a Bucky or
it's also
running Giants.
It's also just draft pedigree. Like, it's pretty rare. I mean, we had 2 go in the first round this year, which is pretty rare. Whereas like there's always like 4 or 5 receivers going. So it's like there's just more options for like those 1 and 2 round receivers versus like last year we had just Jonathan Brooks, and that was 1 in the second round, and that was it. So
mid second, I think. Yeah,
you still don't have many options at running back to really get like top guys, but.
And I feel like the position has been undervalued as a whole historically, right? Like they don't want to pay guys, they go out and get new guys. So I mean that has a factor to do with it. And talking about second round picks, looking at 2023 and 2024 picks, so I'm just gonna go through a list of names. So in 2023, these were the second round talents that we were talking about, and you tell me if you think bust or not. You just say bust or not. Will Levis,
bust.
Yeah. Sam Laporta,
hit.
Yep. Michael Mayer,
bust. Yeah, I mean,
currently, yep. Jonathan Mingo,
much, but
yeah. Jonathan Mingo,
bust.
Yep. Luke Musgrave,
bust.
Jayden Reed,
hit.
I think it's a hit. Yeah, I agree. Zach Charbonnet, Stud
Tough.
backup.
I mean, I would say hit.
Stud
I wouldn't say
backup.
he's like an out of the park hit, but
Hit and a
like
half.
you're
Yeah.
happy with him. You're happy with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bunt.
Rashid Rice.
Not a full hit, but a bunt. You know, you
Yeah.
oh, that's a hit. I mean, obviously
Drag
you got
butt.
hurt,
Yeah,
but it's
Rashid
a
Rice
hit.
definitely. Luke Shoemaker. He's a tight
Bust.
end. Yeah. Brenton Strange.
Bust.
Yeah. Marvin Mims Jr.
Yeah, bust. I got excited for him last year, thinking he might break out in sophomore year, and then
same
didn't really do anything.
And maybe the third year will be his thing, but at this moment from 2023, we're sitting at a 3 out of 11 hit rate. So we get hyped for these second round rookies. 3.5, right? We're giving Charbonnet the half. And then 2024, we had Kean Coleman, which, you know,
I mean, I'm not going to call anyone a bust yet. They're just 1 year. Yeah,
still out. Verdict's still out. But at this moment, you know, he underperformed, I would say, in a wide open wide receiver room and situation on the Bills. Ladd McConkey crushed it. Hit for sure, right?
Big hit.
Jalen Polk.
Yeah, he didn't really get much going last year.
Terrible. Jonathan Brooks, you know, we could say injury kind of did it to him. Yeah. Adonai Mitchell. Excuse me.
He had a couple little flashes. You know, he didn't have the occasional game, but nothing yet.
Again, he had AR, but and then Benson.
Yeah,
so
he didn't do anything.
Of those guys, 1.5 out of 6, right? So I just like to bring this up because we get so excited about second round talents, and we go back and we look at history and we're like, all right, 30% hit rate. You got to really be intentional with who you're taking and where. So,
but it just seems like a discounted first round talent guy. You know, it's like, oh, just be a little bit not quite as good, but still pretty good, and I'll be happy. You know.
And we got to remember the NFL, they kind of know what they're doing, right? They have hundreds of people scouting these players, and we're over here like, well, they missed or they should have picked them early. And we're like, you know, maybe the NFL knows a little bit more than we do. So, you know, got to trust them a little bit.
Looks sick in that one college game I watched, though, you know?
Yeah, exactly, that I watched. What do they know? But we're going to jump into pick 34. So this was the first pick, or second pick in the second round. It was Jayden Higgins, wide receiver. He ended up going to Houston. Honestly, this guy, and we just talked about hype, but I'm hyped for him. He's stereotypical X guy. He's 6'4", almost 220 pounds. He is legitimately an athletic freak. His raw athletic score, which we've talked about before, which measures physical speed, strength, agility, was a 9.87. And again, putting this into perspective, they look at every wide receiver who's been drafted from 1987 to currently, which is over 3,400 wide receivers. He was 46 out of that 3,400 from an athletic ability standpoint.
Pretty good.
The dude's a freak. And if you remember, in 2019, a guy from Seattle got drafted in the second round. Do you remember his name? He was an athletic freak.
Yeah, that would be DK Metcalf. And I remember he had a really bad 3-cone drill, and everyone freaked out that his 3-cone drill was so bad that he could not translate to the NFL. But it turns out if you just run a straight line really well and you're really big and really fast, you'll do okay.
Yeah,
you know,
you figure it. So I mean, honestly, he doesn't have the shirt, you know, or a photo with his shirt off and looking jacked yet. But if that comes out, the hype's gonna roll.
Oh yeah.
Because he falls into that kind of freak athletic category. But he honestly started as a freshman at an FBS school. He moved to Arizona State, and that's where he became their primary pass catcher. Multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He's great against man, great against zone. Literally outside Tet, he is probably the most well-rounded and efficient receiver, I would say, taken in this draft class. He eclipses everybody in explosive plays, which we love to see. These are plays, 10 or more yards. His situation is kind of awkward. He's very similar to Nico in that he has that similar play style, but honestly, right now they have Nico, they have Christian Kirk, who's obviously going to be the slot guy. So we're looking at wide receiver 2 on the other side of Nico. He's not garnering quarterback 1 production. They got a new OC from Nick Keeley, who's out of McVay coaching tree. So I think he could be a wide receiver 2. I don't think he's going to eclipse Nico, But this is a guy who, if Nico goes down at all for any point in time, he could become wide receiver 1 for the future. So
and Houston's had bad luck at receiver health, so that could happen. I think Higgins could be great. My concern is just the state of the Texans O-line right now. I mean, they were a bottom tier unit last year, and then all of a sudden they just traded away Laremy Tunsil. So I don't know. We got to see what happens. Like, can they keep Stroud upright enough to connect with Higgins for some juicy touchdowns? I don't know. Speaking of questionable O-lines, that takes us to the next draft pick. Quinshon Judkins got taken by the Cleveland Browns at pick 36. The first of 2 Ohio State running backs that got drafted in the second rounds. Judkins had a really strong collegiate career. Guy had 1,000 yards on the ground, 3 straight seasons, a total of 50 touchdowns. He's a bruiser, used primarily in early downs and goal line at Ohio State, in tandem with fellow draft pick Henderson. Looking ahead to his usage in the NFL 2025 season, I anticipate a similar role. They also took Dylan Sampson in the 4th round. So I think he's going to be just as involved. It's kind of like a change of pace back with Judkins just getting that early work. Again, kind of my biggest concern, though, is just the rest of the team around him. Do we even know who's going to be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns this year? Pickett, Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Sanders. It's chaos right now. Playmakers on the outside, you got Judy, Njoku. I mean, they're good. They're just not going to scare any defenses into giving a light box or anything like that to Judkins. So, and then, like I said, most importantly for running back success is O-line. They're average maybe at best. This is an O-line that used to be pretty solid, but they're kind of aging out. 4 of the 5 guys are all over the age of 30. I don't know how much really progress and space he's really going to get. So I like his draft stock and redraft as kind of maybe a late 0 RB flyer where he's going to get touches. He's going to be the early down guy. I'm not anticipating anything explosive out of him and not a ton of opportunity just based on the team around him. But I think there is a decent floor there for a rookie running back.
Of the running backs taken, I'd say even RJ Harvey, which we'll talk about later, and I love the guy. I like his opportunity. Who do they have? They have Jerome Ford. And I was a Jerome Ford hype man last year. I was all about it, but he, you don't take a second round pick this high on a running back and not decide to utilize him. Give me Nick Chubb for the next 6 years, and I am okay with that.
But then also take a running back in the 4th round, two rounds later, I just think this modern NFL, people like committees. People like to have a couple different heads on it. I kind of see him as the David Montgomery of this Cleveland Browns. Not obviously we see skill level, but kind of working that early down work, and then Sampson kind of coming in as that change of pace.
I'm high. I think Ford does take 3rd down snaps from him, but 1st and 2nd down, I don't think there's any question there. Granted, the Browns aren't very good. They don't know who their quarterback is, so they're probably not going to have a whole lot of 1st and 2nd down options maybe this first year, but hopefully moving forward. And I think people are underselling Dylan Gabriel. I know this when we're talking about 2nd round picks, but DG, we saw him at UCF. We saw him as a true freshman fight for a starting position, and essentially he got kind of pushed into it because McKenzie went down, but this guy is the only reason he's not a 1st round pick is because he's undersized. So I think DG ends up fighting for the spot and ends up taking it over Sanders. But Kenny Pickett will be QB1 week 1, I think. That's obviously the situation they're going. Flacco might not even be on the roster come week 1.
Back to the couch.
I don't know. I think Pickett, they traded a 3rd or a 5th? I forget what pick, but you don't trade for a quarterback and then just be like, all right, we're not going to use him. I feel like that's why they got him. So we'll see. But, rookies, again, I think DG hopefully steps up. But, yeah, it's a tough situation. And, since we're on running backs, we're going to go to pick 38. TreVeyon Henderson went to New England. To say this kid is good at football is an understatement. He was the lead back at Ohio State. Sometimes it's just that easy. Is this person good at football or are they not? And he's been a lead back at a pristine school at Ohio State for literally 4 years. So you're talking coming in as a freshman and just killing it every single year as a lead back. So, and you can't do that if you're not a stud. PFF ranked him, talking about the PFF data, as the 20 fastest running back in FBS history, not just last year or the year before, in the last 8 seasons. Okay. So we're talking about somebody that's lightning in a bottle. He's probably the best pass catcher on that team automatically over Ramondre. He's also one of the better run blockers in the league, which that holds a lot of weight, especially from a coaching value standpoint. The one thing that I'm worried about is Josh McDaniels. He has run every offense over the past 18 years that he has coached. In 17 of those years, he has had a split backfield. There's never been a tried and true running back one. So I'm truly worried about him not changing and having a split backfield with Ramondre. But if this guy can get early down work and get the third down work, I mean, he could be a cowbell and just crush it. Bell cow, like this goes around. So I'm just a little concerned about the situation. But in redraft, I'm avoiding him. In Dynasty, I do like, potential longevity of his career, even though McDaniels is there.
And consider McDaniels got hired all of 4 months ago. That's kind of a tough sell. I mean, he's a late flyer. If he proves his, talent's elite, he could take it over. But chances are he's going to get murked up in a committee. All right, next up we got
probably his first year.
Yeah. Next up we got Luther Burden III going to the Bears at pick 39. DeAndre Swift has to be thanking his lucky stars that Henderson got sniped right in front of them, one pick in front of them.
Yep.
But I digress. The Bears instead took Luther Burden III out of Mizzou. Burden had a bonkers sophomore season back in 2023, outperforming guys like Ladd and Rome and yards per route run. Unfortunately, his 2024 season wasn't as productive, but Mizzou also had a very heavy run game, so his efficiency numbers still looked elite. He just didn't get nearly as much action as he did the year before. Looking ahead, he kind of projects to play mostly out of the slot on a Bears offense that still has DJ Moore, the previously mentioned Rome Odunze, and also now first-round pick Colston Loveland. So a lot of mouths to feed, and this is all hinging on whether or not Caleb Williams is the real deal or not. We do got the Wonder Kid. Ben Johnson is in town now. Can he get this offense humming? I mean, Amon-Ra plays out of the slot a lot, and he obviously has been producing on that Lions offense. So can Burden kind of take on that identity in this Bears offense? I don't know. For redraft purposes, I like Burden as a late flyer, but I would be willing to drop him pretty early in waiver activity if it becomes clear that he just isn't getting enough usage.
Yeah, and this isn't going to be good, but he reminds me of Jalen Reagor, and the reason why is because
not good.
This is not great. Is because he had a breakout sophomore campaign, which essentially cemented his high draft capital. He had one of the highest yak efficiencies, which is fantastic, right? Especially playing out of slot, you want a guy to catch and run. He's one of the best in the entire class. His average depth of target, though, was 7.6 yards. 43% of his college receptions happened behind the line of scrimmage. Jeez. 43% behind the line of scrimmage.
That's pretty wild.
So this reminds me last year, Malachi Corley. This was a very similar type of situation. He's kind of a gadget guy. I know, obviously, second round pick, draft capital helps him, but it fits that mold. And Malachi was drafted in the third round. He was a screen specialist. He's got a lot of talent surrounded him. I'm not high on him at all as a prospect. But this next guy.
I was going to say, if you got a gadget guy, if there's anyone that can make good use of a gadget guy, it's going to be Ben Johnson, at least hopefully. So we'll see.
I mean, Ben Johnson can make use of everybody. You can give him a potato and put arms on him like Mr. Potato Head, and he'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, again, like you said, the situation, he's got so many mouths to feed. Swift is also a pass catcher, right? So we're talking about targets going there. I don't know. I'm just
he wasn't catching that much last year. You always say that, but he was not that productive in the pass game last year. I know we argued this a couple times.
Yes, I will pull up the data, but he is of running backs, I think, since entering the league. It's Austin Eckler, CMC, and somebody else as like the most pass catching. It was not
part of his game very much. So
yeah, well, the Bears, last year, different team. They got Ben Johnson. Right?
I got it. I agree.
Yeah. All right, so pick 42, tight end Mason Taylor from the Jets. Taylor led the tight end position at LSU for the past 3 years. He, again, another dude. We talk about just being good at football. At LSU, he came in as a true freshman and was just like, I am the starter. I'm taking over whoever else is on this team, seniors, juniors, sophomores. I'm going to be the true starter. And that's what happened. He was drafted at 20. This kid is so young. He's one of the youngest in the entire class. He literally just turned 21 this month. So, Taylor, I know you're listening. Happy birthday. I'll give you a shout out. Analytically, you should shut off now and not listen because you're one of the worst in the class at the tight end position, unfortunately. But he did play 3 years at LSU. He had some of the best competition that he was facing. He also had Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, right? You know, these are going to be guys that are going to get it. Also, Aaron Anderson, remember this name for 2026, maybe 2027. I think this could be a future star wide receiver. But I think his situation is pretty darn elite. He has the potential to literally just be tight end one, week one. The only other pass catcher I'd say is Garrett Wilson. You could argue Brees is also on that list to compete for targets. And all the rookie tight ends, he actually might see the most target opportunities because the Jets are just bad. So he's one of my sleeper tight ends, and he's my tight end one in round 2.
Yeah, but he's got Justin Fields throwing him the ball. Last year, I mean, Pat Freiermuth was averaging under 7 points a game and half PPR in the 6 games that Fields was under center. So, you know, there's a cap. I mean, the guy might be good. I might like him in Dynasty redraft. I'm not drafting him. I mean, you know, keep an eye on him in the waiver wire.
Do we believe Justin Fields will be a starting quarterback in week 17? Do you believe he will be a starting quarterback in week 17?
Who's their backup right now?
Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, so he's got a veteran QB behind him.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, will the Jets even care enough about putting Tyrod in there?
I mean,
like, what are you going to get with him? Like, you're not going to get anything like. And they don't even have a quarterback 3. They don't even have a young guy just hanging out.
The only downside to Justin Fields, and the reason why you mentioned is because he runs the ball on average 8 to 9 times a game, which again is terrible from a fantasy production standpoint for receivers. But the Jets are projected to go 6-11, which means they're going to suck again. And the Jets have sucked for the longest time ever, which means they're going to have to pass the ball. And the Jets have been top 5 in pass attempts over the past couple of years because they lose games and they have no other options. So I just think eventually Fields might end up going away. And even if he plays all 17 games, they're still sitting at like 520 pass attempts, which middle of the tier. It's not top of the league, but it's still not bad. So I just think the Fields narrative that he's only going to run and he's going to really hurt a lot of these guys, it's not realistic because they're not going to win football games. So that's all I'll say.
Taylor kind of started off a run of tight ends that went in the second round. Next up was Terrance Ferguson to the Rams at pick 46. He played his whole collegiate career at Oregon and seemed to just kind of improve a little bit each year. Started slow and just kind of kept building. Tall guy, 6'5", blocks well, takes what's available in the zone. Not really going to beat much man coverage out there. He joins a Rams team that still does have Higbee. But he is 32 now and probably on his last hurrah, so he could be the heir apparent there. The downside for Ferguson is that McVay's system just doesn't really utilize the tight end position a lot. He kind of prioritizes more blocking out of his tight ends. I mean, Higbee only ever really had a couple game flashes of being like relevant as a tight end one, then he'd go back to not really producing very much. So Stafford also loves a good deep ball, too. He doesn't check it down nearly as much as some other quarterbacks. So it's also going to hurt his stock as a tight end. So, I mean, for the 2025 season, I don't see much value in drafting Ferguson. The offense will continue to run through Puka, Kyron, and now Devontae. In that order, Ferguson is just maybe a dynasty hold at best.
And in addition to Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson is still in town, right? Like he was a name that was floated last year about taking over the tight end position because Higbee was out and injured. And while obviously these two are not considered Zach Ertz, this seems like a real Ben Sitton type of situation that was taken in the second round last year. McVay's getting a guy who he likes. He can be a part of his NFL offense to run his offense well. Yeah. And not a fantasy production, following from that.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. Next
on the
up is
same
another
page.
tight end, Elijah Arroyo. Went to the Seahawks at pick 50. He had a really interesting collegiate career at the University of Miami. For much of it, he was kind of irrelevant and kind of didn't really do much early on, and then had a big ACL injury that kind of derailed the back half of his sophomore year and kind of first part of his junior year.
Yeah.
But then even his senior year started slow, didn't really do much, and then he just popped off for the last 4 games of the season and just saw his draft stock shoot up. So a really small sample size makes for kind of really interesting read. He didn't even work out at the combine, so we don't really have a lot to. I know we don't really have a lot to go with, So we're mostly just going to game analysis, which he did have some really speed clocking on in-game tape. He seems like a real boom or bust tight end. Explosive speed, but will it translate? I don't know. He joins a Seahawks team that's now under Sam Darnold's command. Darnold does really like to push the ball downfield last year, which does kind of play well with Elijah's, downfield threat. He did have a huge 11.1 ADOT last season, which was a really, really big for a tight end. The Seahawks don't have much for tight end competition for him to beat out. Currently, the number one spot projects as Noah Fant, but if they were to cut him, they would save 8.9 milli. So he could be a real big camp cut here soon, in which case Elijah could just become the main pass catching tight end for the Seahawks. So boomer bust, but could be kind of a cool late flyer.
Yeah, he didn't work out, by the way, because he injured his knee in the Senior Bowl. So that wasn't him just being like, "Oh, I'm too good to be working out." He ended up doing something. And yeah, I was looking in their cap space. They have around 31 million available right now. So and if they keep him, Noah Fant, they still have to take a 9 million hit, and if they cut him, they still have to take a 9 million hit. So they're kind of in this weird spot where maybe they do it to re-sign some guys. I guess that's the potential. But yeah, if he gets cut or traded for whatever reason, there could be potential for him to be fantasy relevant. The dude is 6'5", 250 pounds. He's a huge tight end. The coaching staff, I think it was McDonald, was talking about playing him at the X receiver role, which I don't even know why they would bring that up, but craziness. He only played 7% of the snaps outside in college, but they did just lose DK, right? So, I mean, who knows about that situation?
Big body out there.
Yeah, and going back to Darnold, he had Darnold 11.1 ADOT. He had Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Addison, right? That probably helped a little bit.
For sure.
So, but I agree.
Just chuck it, JJ down there somewhere,
Yeah. This is an interesting tight end situation that he's found himself in. Maybe he ends up being something good. I'm just not quite sold yet. This next pick, though, I am sold on. This is my darling, my second round sweetheart. He's my wide receiver 1 in the second round. The Chargers, I just feel like keep going out and just getting absolute steals from the offensive side of the ball. He ended up, Harbaugh ended up going Omarion Hampton first round. He ended up going Trey Harris second round. So he started to re-up that offense. Harris is 6'2", 205 pounds. He's analytically, he's the dream. He had the highest catch rate in the entire class. He had the top yards after catch efficiency in this class. He was number 1 in yards per out run. His yards per out run against man coverage was 10.47. Devontae Smith, to put that in perspective, when he was the Heisman winner, was 6.6 or something like this. So 10.47 is so ridiculous. His zone coverage was 4.05 yards per out run. The standard in the NFL is we need a 2.0 or better to potential, production to NFL level. So he's got the analytics and the data to back him up. He also has the second round draft capital. Right now, they have Ladd McConkey as their true wide receiver. He broke out in college as a sophomore. All the indicators are telling me this man should be good.
You're sold.
His receptions, yes, are 17 yards or more. Most of his shots were taken deep. He can beat man and zone, obviously, by his yards per out run. He's a perfect fit for the Chargers because they don't have an X receiver. Justin Herbert is throwing him passes. If he gets this wide receiver 1 or even wide receiver 2, because Ladd's still the focal point, I am just so excited on this guy. He needs to stay healthy because he has some injury concerns, but the optimistic for him moving forward, I'm just so high on him.
I'm just excited for the Chargers offense as a whole. I mean, it was looking pretty bleak there for a little bit with Herbert. They had like no pass catchers, going into last season that anyone was really hyped up for. But Harbaugh came in, he righted the ship. They hit on Lab last year, Hampton in the first, now Harris in the second. I mean, if these guys all hit, they could be a really fun offense for the next like 5+ years.
So exciting. Mm-hmm.
So you're hyped, but what I'm seeing a lot of hype on is the next guy. Bech went fit to the 58th pick to the Raiders. This dude is all over the interwebs. I'd be seeing this guy. He's popping up on sleeper picks left and right. Where I was looking. Originally it was a Tiger in Baton Rouge. He kind of had to get out of town because there was neighbors and BTJ kind of clogging up all the targets for obvious reasons. So he moved over to TCU, and he found success last year producing at a high level. He split almost 50-50 at both the slot and the wideout. Performed well at both. He plays strong, great hands. Going to 2025. He just really has to beat out Trey Turner for wide receiver 2 on the Raiders offense. But they sort of do different things anyways. Turner's kind of a speed guy. Beck's a little bit more of like a strong possession guy, zone beater. This is a Raiders team now under the guidance of my boy Tom Brady and Pete Carroll, headed by Geno Smith under center. I mean, obviously Genti and Brox are gonna be the main driving force of this offense, and then plus Jacoby's reliable, doing what Jacoby does. But for drafting purposes, I think considering rookie status, I'm not like freaking out about the guy, but I think he should be pretty highly involved and have a decent floor for a rookie wide receiver, all things considered.
Calling Brady your boy. What a sell. He comes to Tampa Bay for 1 year and wins 1 Super Bowl, and now he's
3 years.
The darling. Oh, whatever. He won 1. That's all that matters, right? But you just
50% of our Super Bowl wins.
That's true. That's true. But you want to see the guy succeed. I think he has the potential to become wide receiver 1. Obviously, Bowers is part of that future. Jacoby, I felt was just propped up. Wide receiver 2, no question asked, but Jacoby was propped up by insane volume. We know what we're getting out of Jacoby, right? You know what kind of boat Jacoby is, but Jack could be a better boat, And so, going with him, he has potential to take over this offense outside of Bowers. They do have a better, pass thrower in Geno. The one thing I'm worried about is man coverage. He was not great against man coverage as far as separation goes, production. His yards per out run was under 2.0. Brian Thomas Jr. was the same though, and he found a way. So, I like Jack's situation, and I do think he garnishes a late round. Again, we talked about wide receivers outside the 3rd round. Don't even look at it. But he still has that 2nd round talent, so I like it. This guy, I love. I'm just as hyped on him as I am Trey Harris, if not more, is RJ Harvey. He ended up going to Denver, 2nd round pick. My favorite thing about, I don't know if you saw the video of him getting picked, but, he's with his family, 2nd round pick, 2nd round, and he wasn't projected to go 2nd round. I think he was like a 3rd to 5th round projection originally. And he's sitting and I think he's eating something. He's just hanging out, eating something on the couch. He gets a phone call and he picks it up. He's like, hello. And he's like, his mouth is full and he's like, oh shit. He's got to put his food down.
Cereal or something.
Yeah, for real. Because he was just kind of caught off guard. He was like, all right, I'm watching him hanging.
Who's videotaping? Just someone was just, is it like,
I think it was just his family that was recording. They had it set up, right? They didn't know when it was going to happen. So they had it up in the room.
Makes sense. They're probably like, hey, the entire time the draft is going on, have just a couple cameras just going.
This. Yeah. So it was just funny to see his reaction of being like, oh, it's happening. I'm getting 2nd round. This is going down. But I think it was a gem. Alex can attest to this. I watched him all 4 years at UCF. I went to all his home games. Watched all the away games. Everything. Maybe 2 I didn't make it to.
All right.
But 90+% of them I went to. Him and Amarion Hampton were the only 2 running backs to have over 100 yards back-to-back seasons from a production standpoint against rushing grade against P5 opponents over the past 2 years. Were the best in the past 2 classes, not just 1 class. He's one of the most elusive running backs. He bounces off tackles consistently, fights for extra yards, and what analytics doesn't show is his athleticism. can catch the ball in the backfield. He was one of our main receivers at UCF. Just off the charts. I know he's getting a lot of crap about pass blocking, but Harvey's the kind of guy who's been doubted his whole career. So if they're saying you need to improve in pass blocking, he's going to figure it out. And he's going to step up and become a good pass blocker. So I just think he's a winner in all aspects of the game. And outside Genty, potential to be a top 10 running back, I think, right away. Especially in a Sean Payton offense. Forgot to add this. Sean Payton over the past 2 years with the Broncos, they have caught the running backs over 200 passes out of the backfield, which is the most out of any other team. And I don't know if you remember Alvin Kamara, but I'm saying upside Alvin Kamara with RJ Harvey and Sean Payton offense. He went out, he picked his guy, he picked him high. He took a chance above whatever the draft capital is. So give me RJ Harvey, giving him all day.
Kamara came out of the gate hot too. He was like immediately was producing rookie year. But yeah, go Knights, baby. I mean, Harvey's got. I got him as my rookie RB3 on the redraft for right behind Hampton and Genty. I'm taking him over Judkins and Henderson. So yeah, I think it was a great fit for him, and excited to see what he does.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, that'll do it. That's our second round draft recap. If you like what you heard, give us a like and subscribe. If not, thanks for hanging out. And as always, go steal a championship. We'll catch y'all later.
Peace.